Story 1. The Lantern in the Trees. The first time I ever went camping alone. I thought it would be peaceful. It was early October, and the forest around the campsite was quiet, except for the occasional rustle of leaves. The air smelled damp, heavy with pine, and the sky was just starting to darken. I had set up my tent near a small clearing and built a fire that crackled softly. It was supposed to be just one night, a little escape from the noise of the city. I remember feeling excited at first, but that feeling didn't last long. As night settled in, I noticed the woods becoming unnaturally still. The usual chorus of crickets and distant owls faded into silence. I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was normal, but deep down, something felt wrong. I sat by the fire, sipping from a bottle of water, when I noticed a faint glow between the trees. It was far off at first, like a soft, yellow orb. My first thought was that it might be another camper, but this part of the forest was supposed to be completely empty. The light grew brighter, moving slowly through the darkness. It wasn't like a flashlight beam. It was dim, flickering like an old lantern. My heart started to pound as it weaved between the trunks, moving closer to my campsite. I stood up, calling out, "Hello?" My voice echoed, but no one answered. The lantern paused, swaying gently, like it was hanging from someone's hand. Then it started moving again, just a little faster this time. I grabbed my flashlight and shined it toward the light, but when the beam hit it, there was nothing there. The lantern glow was gone, like it had been snuffed out in an instant. The forest was pitch black again, and that silence, that awful silence, pressed down on me like a weight. I backed up slowly toward my tent, every instinct screaming at me to leave. But I tried to convince myself I was imagining things. Just when I turned my flashlight off, the glow returned, but this time it wasn't in the distance. It was right behind a nearby tree, barely 10 feet away. The flickering light revealed a shadow of something standing there, not moving, not breathing, just standing. I whispered to myself, "It's nothing. It's nothing." But then the figure holding the lantern took one slow step forward. And I could see the outline of a head with no features, just black. I bolted from my tent, heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. My hand shook as I grabbed my keys and rushed toward my car. Before I could get in, I heard the sound of footsteps behind me, slow, crunching footsteps. I didn't look back. I slammed the door, locked it, and turned on the headlights. But the beam revealed nothing, just empty woods and my dying campfire. I didn't sleep that night. I drove to the nearest gas station and waited until morning. When I went back to grab my tent, I saw something that still makes my stomach drop to this day. Hanging from the tree where I'd seen the lantern was an old, rusted hook, and beneath it, a lantern swinging gently. There were no other footprints. No sign of anyone else ever being there. To this day, I still don't know who or what I saw. But every time I think about going camping again, I remember that flickering light moving through the woods, and I never go back. Story 2. The Whistle at Midnight. My friend Caleb and I had grown up exploring the woods behind our town. We knew every dirt path and hidden creek like the back of our hands. So, when we decided to go night hiking in the middle of November, it didn't feel dangerous at first. We packed flashlights, a thermos of coffee, and a small knife, just in case. The sky was moonless that night, and the forest felt darker than I'd ever seen it before. Halfway through the hike, we decided to sit on a fallen log to rest. The air was freezing, and our breath came out in small white clouds. That's when we heard it. A single long whistle coming from somewhere deep in the trees. It wasn't like a bird or a hunter's call. It sounded human. Caleb frowned and whispered, "Did you hear that?" I nodded. The whistle came again, clearer this time, almost like someone was calling us. We scanned the forest with our flashlights, but saw nothing but black branches and dead leaves. Caleb, being the braver one, called out, "Hello? Is someone out there?" There was no answer, just a whistle again, this time closer, sent a chill down my spine. The sound was too deliberate, too slow, like whoever was doing it wanted us to follow. I whispered for him to turn back, but he said, "It's probably some guy messing around." We walked faster down the trail, but the whistle followed us. No matter how far we went, it seemed to stay the same distance away. At one point, it stopped completely. The silence that followed felt worse than the sound. That's when a branch snapped behind us. We spun around, flashlights trembling in our hands, but nothing was there, just trees, cold wind. Then, right in front of us, no more than 15 feet away, we heard it again, one long, sharp whistle. This time it came with a soft laugh, like someone trying to hold it in. Caleb swore under his breath, and we both took off running. A sound followed us, echoing through the forest, faster than our footsteps. We finally reached the old wooden bridge near the edge of the woods, panting and shaking. We turned around, expecting to see someone behind us, but there was no one. Just the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. The whistle stopped for good after that. We ran the rest of the way home without looking back. The next morning, Caleb and I returned to the trail with a few friends to prove to ourselves it was nothing. But when we reached that same log, we saw something carved into the bark, 3 straight lines and a curve underneath, like a face smiling. And next to it, in fresh dirt, someone had drawn the same shape again. We never went hiking there at night again. Story 3, The Watcher's Cabin. It started with a wrong turn. My girlfriend and I were driving through the mountains late at night, trying to find a campground we'd booked. Our GPS lost signal somewhere along the road, and soon we found ourselves deep in a narrow dirt path surrounded by endless trees. The headlights cut through the darkness, but everything outside that beam looked like an empty void. Then we saw it, an old wooden cabin with no lights, no signs of life. We decided to stop and ask for directions. I stepped out of the car, the gravel crunching under my boots. The cabin looked abandoned, with peeling wood and a porch that sagged like it hadn't been used in years. I knocked on the door once. No answer. I knocked again, louder. That's when I noticed the window to the right of the door. A shape moved behind it. I couldn't see a face, just a tall, thin outline. "Hello?" I called out. No response. The figure stood completely still. I slowly backed away and told my girlfriend to get ready to drive. She stared at me with wide eyes as the cabin door creaked open. It opened just enough for a sliver of blackness to show. No one stepped out, no voice, just silence. Then, suddenly, the window shutters slammed shut with a bang that echoed through the trees. I jumped back and rushed into the car. As we started to drive away, I looked in the side mirror. The cabin door was now wide open, and something or someone was standing on the porch, too tall, too still, just watching us leave. We sped down the dirt road, praying we'd find the main road soon. But after 5 minutes of driving, something made my blood turn to ice. Up ahead, barely lit by the headlights, stood the same cabin, the same sagging porch, the same empty darkness. Somehow, we had looped back. My girlfriend started to cry, saying, "This can't be real." I didn't know what else to do but keep driving. As we passed the cabin again, every light inside turned on at once, a sickly yellow glow spilling through the cracks. The door began to swing open slowly, as if inviting us in. But then, as we kept moving, I saw them, shapes in the trees. Dozens of tall, motionless figures surrounding the cabin. We finally found the highway after what felt like hours, though it was probably minutes. When we checked the map the next day, that road didn't exist. There was no cabin, no trail, nothing. To this day, I still don't know how we ended up there or what was watching us. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see that door slowly creaking open. Story 4, The Last Campfire. Back when I worked as a park ranger, we had a small station near a massive forest reserve. One night, just after midnight, I received a radio call from a hiker saying they'd seen a single campfire burning deep inside a restricted zone. No one was supposed to be out there. It was closed off due to landslides. So I grabbed my flashlight, loaded up the truck, and started down the old service trail. The deeper I drove, the colder it got. The forest was thick, and the only sound was the low hum of my engine. When I finally reached the edge of the restricted zone, I killed the headlights and got out. Sure enough, through the trees, I saw it, a small, flickering orange glow. Someone was definitely out there. I started walking toward it, crunching over dead branches. As I got closer, I realized something strange. There were no voices, no movement, just the fire burning steadily in a perfect circle of stones. No tent, no gear, no footprints. It was like someone had built the fire and then vanished. I called out, "Park ranger, you can't be here." No answer. I walked closer and felt the sudden drop in temperature, so sharp it made my breath fog like smoke. Then I saw it. On the other side of the fire stood a figure. A man, or what looked like a man, wearing old clothes that looked decades out of place. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He just stared at me across the flames. My instincts told me to back away, but my legs wouldn't move. The fire crackled softly, and in the silence, I swear I heard something whisper behind me. I turned around fast, but nothing was there. When I looked back at the fire, the figure was gone. The fire still burned, as if nothing had happened. I backed away slowly, my radio crackling in my hand. That's when I heard footsteps. Not just one set, several, all around me. They were closing in, breaking twigs and crunching leaves. I sprinted back to the truck, slammed the door shut, and floored it down the trail. In the rearview mirror, I saw the fire behind me, and around it, at least a dozen figures, now standing still, glowing faintly in the orange light. When I got back to the station, the radio log said no hiker had ever called that night. No one else had been on duty. The next morning, we sent a team out to investigate. There was nothing there. No ashes, no stones, no signs of a fire. But every ranger at that station had their own story about the last campfire, and none of them ever went into that part of the woods alone.